winning the World Cup, two World Cups in the same year, the inaugural 2009 ICC Women's World Cup as a captain, following or preceding that was a 50 over World Cup in Australia. You've started the journey from there. Now you're leading these players, or the ones where you're working with those players who you played around with. What's more challenging?
I think that they both have different challenges. It's just very different. But I think captaincy has enabled me to go into coaching and be able to, I guess, just transition quite quicker than I would have if I hadn't have captained. I think coaching is definitely more challenging because sometimes you haven't got any control over the
Yeah.
game, and you sit there and it's sometimes just so frustrating that you can't affect. And that's what you've got to let go, and that's what I had to let go quite quickly, is you kind of affect while the game's going on, other than a couple of little timeouts you get to run out to the middle. But I think that's what makes coaching more rewarding, is the fact that you've got various different players and you've got to somehow affect them in different ways, and that's through, like I said, the relationship side, and how you manage the players is really important.
So how does Charlotte have any downtime? How do you step away? Because as a coach, you have to be ahead of the scenarios. You have to be watching cricket. Do you watch a lot of cricket?
I watch a lot of cricket, Anjum. I watch everything that's on TV. I'm watching the men's
Sure.
IPL now. I have a different I'm watching the men's IPL through a different lens completely now, because I've
Yes.
been through it. So
Yes.
I'm actually really enjoying that this year. I watch it every year, but I guess I'm looking at it slightly differently this year. Um, I am an absolute, cricket badger, as they call them in
Yes.
over here. I love it, but you're absolutely right. You can't rest on your laurels. You've got to then be onto the next tournament, and I think that's something that probably I learned from playing is, you can win a big tournament, but it's quite quickly forgotten. You've got to then move on to the next team, the next competition, and then plan accordingly. And you've got to enjoy the success, but equally you've got to move on and start I guess the next planning and next competition.
So how do you take a side step? Because as cricketers, I know you don't want to do it because you're absolutely into the sport, and I know I also rarely do that. But there has to be some downtime. There has to be some time when you switch off from either watching
Yeah.
or not thinking too much.
Yeah, it's something I've got to work on, Anjum. I think I've realised as a player I was all in, and as a coach I'm even more all in. I don't think I can do anything half-hearted, and that is a problem. I think being at home. I think I've come home now, and I'm enjoying being just like at home, and I guess the team I look after here, the Southern Vipers, is just down the road. So I go on my walks. I've got lovely places. I'm right near the beach down here. So yeah, I try and get away, but it is very difficult because my phone's always on, as the players always know, and now looking after four teams. At some point in the year, there's selection going on. I've had messages this morning from Sydney around the new
Yes.
WBBL. So yeah, it's very difficult, but I do my very best to switch off when I can.
So let us help you switch off by some light-hearted, easy questions. Because I mean, I know when I sit in a commentary box, or when I sit, having a chat with our former cricketers, or people know them as former cricketers, but our batch people will all be like, Charlotte is thinking this, Charlotte is planning this. We know Charlotte is happy. We know Charlotte is not happy. And by all the expressions, we just understand it because as players we've seen you there. But it's been absolutely brilliant, and I have probably no other words to mince around and say that probably you're the best person to handle this team, one of the franchise teams, and I wasn't surprised that they got the success. So that's brilliant, but we have to keep it lighthearted also. So okay, so as a player or as a coach, what has been your pre-match rituals, or in our language, which superstitions?
Um, yeah, as a player, I was quite superstitious. So I I would always try and wear the same kit. So I'd always want my same kit back from the and I'd always put my left pad on first. Always left pad on first.
Not
I've
surprised.
tried to not get into the superstitions as a coach. It gets too stressful.
Okay, right. Just in addition to that, how many years or months or days did those leg guards or those pair of gloves lasted for you? Because you used to bat so long in practice matches. How many days did they last?
Yeah, I didn't like to change my pads or my gloves, so yeah, they often went on for a while. So yeah, it's funny what you do as a batter, isn't it?
True. Okay. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received, and who has given that to you?
Um, I had some advice when I took on the England captaincy. Um, actually, Belinda Clark, and she just said, "Be yourself." And I think, although very, it's a very simple thing, but it's meant a lot to me over the years because you don't be someone you're not, and I think, and that's something that I took on, and through coaching now as well. You've just got to be yourself.
Right, absolutely. And Belinda Clark, we also know, is a legend, someone we all looked up to her. So, if you could play a professional sport other than cricket, of course, which would that be and why?
Tennis, I love tennis.
Interesting. And
Yeah,
you, I mean, and
I'm
you would want. Did you ever play anything other than cricket growing up?
Yeah,
Years.
I played tennis growing up, and I've got a good story that my dad had to go and tell my tennis coach that I didn't want to play cricket anymore, and sorry, tennis anymore, and he said that'll be the worst decision Charlotte ever makes. She'll never make it at cricket. That was her exact word. So yeah, I do laugh about that comment.
Send him a
Yeah, over the
postcard
years.
from India next time. Send him a postcard
Yeah.
from India. The Mumbai Indians champions postcard. Okay, so who's been the funniest teammate you've ever had, and what was that hilarious moment, if you can recount any?
Well, you know her very well, actually. Claire Taylor,
Romper?
the bowler Romper. So Romper's probably. I grew up playing with Romper, and she's just so funny. And a northern accent, but so many stories. I haven't got one to share, but I think you know her well enough that
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
very
yeah.
funny and a great character to. I think for me also to grow up with someone like her, a very professional. She played football and cricket for England. She was a wonderful role model for me growing up, but also had that humour, which I loved.
Yeah, she has that humor still alive while she's around as an ACSU official.
Yeah.
I recently caught up with her in the UAE, and she was still the same. She's like, Anjum, you're still the same. I said, I'm glad we recognize each other very well. So, okay, so do you have any favorite cricketing nickname other than yourself? Of course, teammates call you Lottie, but did you have any other name that you liked?
No, it was Lottie from the word go. Now some players are starting to call me Dotty now because my nieces call me Dotty. Um, so some players have caught on to the fact that I get called Dotty now. So it's Dotty or Lottie.
Some people might be still figuring it out whether it's the D or the L. So, but as long as it's OTTI. Okay, so if you're stranded on a desert island, any favorite cricketers or any people that you'd be happy to spend that time with?
Oh, who would I take? I'd need someone who's going to be quiet. Um, yeah, I wouldn't want too much. I'd take Romper with me. She'd be great fun.
Yeah, yeah. You can even try Ebony. Maybe she'll also be pretty quiet and silent. Okay, I know you loved playing the cover drive, the cut, every stroke that you played, the glance as well was special. But if you could play any cricketing shot to perfection, which of course there were many which you played with perfection, which could be that one?
It's the on drive, um,
Hmm.
the on drive down the ground. If it's funny, if players play it now, it's the one shot all the players look at me and go, "Oh, great shot, lot," because they know how much I love an on drive, and I reckon it's one of those things as a coach now. I like the batters in my teams to be able to play, so it's like a bit of a trademark, I guess. So yeah, an on drive.
Probably because we were taught hitting the cover drive more and the straight drive than the on drive during the time
Yeah.
that we played cricket or learned to play cricket. Right. So, if or what is the most unusual item that you would have ever packed while going on a cricket tour?
My tomato ketchup when I used to go to India, for sure. Heinz tomato ketchup. So yeah, that was probably one of the one things that was part of my luggage whenever I travelled abroad.
So, since you will be coming into India more often, and of course you travel the world, so what's that one food item that you always crave for, and you would feel that that's my go-to food,
In India
or
or
anywhere else in the
anywhere,
world?
my go-to food. Oh, do you know what? There's different foods I love in every country that I miss in every country as well. Like in when I go to Australia, I love sushi. Um, and when I come to India, I love the bread. I love the bread there. If
The
there's a
naan
bread, and I
bread,
can't. Yeah, naan bread, but there's another, and I can never remember
or
what it's
the
called.
misi roti, the yellow one,
Yeah,
the misi roti.
yeah,
Yeah, that's actually
yeah,
nutritious as well.
yeah. So yeah, there's always things in every country that I love. I pretty much eat most things anyway, to be fair.
Okay, so if you had the choice to bat with a legend in their time, would that be? And would there be any player that you would feel that you wish you had batted alongside them?
I would have loved to have batted with Belinda Clark. Um, yeah, I obviously never got the opportunity, and I think that's one thing. Probably back when we played Anjum, we never got to play with each other, and I think that's something that um, I really envy now of the players. They get to play with all of these players all around the world now, and be their teammates. So I was really lucky to get to play with Emily Drum towards the back end of my playing career. Sorry, her playing career. But yeah, I'd have loved to have batted with Belinda.
I'm sure, and she used to be a very good runner between the wickets as well.
Yeah,
So
that would have been a struggle.
I was coming there. That was the only thing which would have been a struggle. So you would say, Belinda, hold on to your end. I'll hit a boundary.
Yeah.
But do you still get to interact with a lot of people, of course, in different capacities now? Do you still get to interact, and do you still are able to share that quality time and stories with each other?
Yeah, like I get to catch up with all the people when I go to Oz, and that's the great thing now. And after playing, is that you've got so many people you've played with, and you get to catch up with, and I guess a real highlight for me in India was working with Julian, wasn't it? I mean, we've been fierce competitors for years, and then suddenly we're on the same side, and just seeing her passion for the game and working with her day in day out, I absolutely loved it. She was great fun, and I hopefully she enjoyed her first experience of coaching in after playing.
Lastly, when you tell players how to probably uh, polish their cricketing strokes a bit more, do you also give them tips about how to do leg spin bowling?
No, I don't. I try and keep away from that. I think I obviously bowled leg spin growing up, but yeah, I was too invested in my batting to work on leg spin, and then I decided to bowl off spin because that seemed um, the easier spin to conquer. So yeah, I try and keep out of the bowling, coaching bowling. I just try and help them set fields. I think is probably my best advice.
So when are we seeing Charlotte Edwards back in action? What's immediately the next project that you're taking over, and when do we see you back in India? I'm sure pretty. Uh, I hope it's not the last minute now that we see you back in India.
I'm working at home now with my domestic team, the Southern Vipers, and then we'll quite quickly be going into the 100 in the next couple of months, and then out to Sydney in October, and hopefully back out to Mumbai in who knows when the women's IPL is going to be, but hopefully it's the same time as last year.
Yeah, most likely. But let's see, so that I can get my cap as well with a white and black or a blue and gold, or I've already got the MI shoes. So, but it's always lovely to catch up, Charlotte, and wish you all the greatest of success, present, future, everything. And yeah, but we still will have to catch up as to how many times has Julian Goswami dismissed Charlotte Edwards and how many times has Charlotte Edwards hit Julian Goswami towards the boundary. That's for another day when I can get both you and Julian in the same frame. But thank you very much for your time and have a lovely year, successful year.
Thank you.